What's going on, YouTube? My name is Loyd Phillips, host of the world-famous podcast, Life and Times Podcast. This week, we're excited. We have the host of Snowflake Mountain, the new hit show, Snowflake Mountain on Netflix, Matt Tate. We're all excited to have him. Listen, if you like this show, like and subscribe. And, if you don't, I'm cool with it. Everybody leave some comments. If they're good, I'll respond. If they're not good, I probably will still respond. Okay, love everybody. Let's get to the show. Welcome back to the Life and Times Podcast. I'm your host, Loyd Phillips, everybody. Loyd Phillips! Today, I have a guest this afternoon. He's kind of a big deal around town, I've heard. Today's guest is Matt Tate. He's from the hit Netflix show, Snowflake Mountain, where all the snowflakes were on one mountain in the UK. And it has 15 million viewing hours at this point. It's number 10 globally, hit number 3 in the US, Netflix US. And I think where it missed out is because he competed with probably Netflix's biggest show. Yeah. Unbelievable. Hang on. Wait. I'm still in the introduction.
Oh. I was like, you got to tell me that's what you're doing, dickhead.
Okay. Crap! I'll probably keep this part. Let me redo it. Welcome back to the Life of Times Podcast. I'm your host, Loyd Phillips. I'm here with Matt Tate from the hit show Snowflake Mountain, everybody, which is a Netflix show that just came out in the last month. It's number 10 globally. It has over 15 million viewing hours. It hit number 3 in the U.S. It's a really cool show, and I'm excited to have Matt here. I've known him for a while. I don't call him Matt. I call him Tate Tam, which is Matt Tate backwards. I came up with that a long time ago. Let's get into it. So Matt Tate here in the hit show Snowflake Mountain, right here in the house.
In the house, here I am.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah,
it's going real good so far.
Well, what do you things have been good since? I think I asked you right before this thing started. I'm like, hey man, have you been out at the restaurants? Have you been out on the club scene since that hit? And you're like, oh my gosh, it's Matt Tate, Snowflake.
No, and probably because I'm an old timer now, and I don't leave the house hardly, right? Yeah. Other than to go grab some chow at a restaurant or something. But no, it hasn't even been a thing. I'm kind of anonymous, where I'm at.
Well, I tell you what, it's important that I know. Hold up, this one is recorded here. Let me turn this around. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know, we got merch. We got merch in the house.
Merch. That logo out there.
I call it hat merch. American Survival Co.
That's right.
So I mean, I'll just get into this because I know there's people that are wondering, what do you? I'll just skip right to it. And I know that you're in the military, and we tried this once before for anybody that doesn't know, but very unsuccessful. It's very unsuccessful on my part. I mean, I know you're in the military, but let's go to the survival part because I want to get there. What made you pick a field to where you're like, I think I want to be in survival? I mean, how did you pick that field?
Okay, so the story kind of begins, like lots of people, I worked myself into a job that I just did not like. And I went to a wilderness medicine class, like a week-long course in Northern California in the mountains. And it was a really cool experience. Most of the day we're whitewater rafting down the Klamath River. And in the evenings, we are getting medical training. And most of it was a thing for doctors, really, and I just tagged along. But most of it was on a level I can understand, and so I really enjoyed it and had a good time. But something happened there, something clicked, and those people who were working, the expedition doctors, the flight nurses, they were getting paid, but they weren't really working. Like, they were loving what they were doing every minute that they were out there. And they were making a living at it. And that was the first time I really saw people doing that, like getting paid to do what they love to do. Like, it was real all of a sudden.
What were you doing at the time?
I was working for in the executive branch
And did you
of the federal government. Yeah.
did you love to go to work every day?
Oh my gosh! So there's a great career for the right person,
Yeah.
but for me, God did not make me to do that. And so after I spent 4 or 5 years there, I don't remember which, but I found that I felt like I worked myself into a cage, and
Like a tiger.
like a tiger. That's right, man. like a caged tiger. And the gig where you and I met was like one of the greatest gigs of all time, right? And we had lots of freedom at that place, but I just couldn't do it anymore. It was just, I had knots in my gut every day that I got up to go to work, and it just was not. I just kept thinking, like, God dang, man, am I going to be 65 looking back
Like a tiger.
like a tiger over my shoulder? And
That ain't nothing compared to my ground tactics.
I remember that. There's a backstory to that comment that's really funny, and you should actually get into it. I just didn't have the guts to do that.
Yeah. Well,
Let me back up just a second. I want to tell you guys how I met Loyd. This is as Matt remembers it. I had been deployed, just came home from a year in Iraq. And my first day back at work, I was working from 5 a.m. till 1. And so I show up for PT, and you and Kevin are out there, and you got the platoons all lined up, everything. I'm just like, who are these losers? Like, I don't know these guys. Like, a bunch of rookies taking over around here. And then you guys actually turned out to be like some of my favorite people ever. But, yeah, you guys were out there PT and cadets.
yeah, that ain't nothing compared to my ground tactics.
Those were legit, by the way. Moving refrigerators by themselves.
Yeah.
Strong.
With chi.
You got to tell that story, or it's just going to sound dumb.
Oh, there's just interesting. There's just people that are interesting, and I still like them. I'm not making fun of them. I'm making fun of these stories, but I don't know. So there's a guy at work, and I'm having a conversation with another buddy there. And we're just talking about motorcycles. Honestly, we're probably talking about motorcycles, and the guy's standing in the circle with us, but he walked up. He walked up to the circle. So this is me and the guy talking. So he stands there. He's not saying anything for like 2 minutes. He's hearing us talk about motorcycles, and the other guy says something that he thought was pretty cool, and the guy who walked up, without not even being, he wasn't attempting to be funny. He was dead serious. And so the guy I was first talking to said something cool, and he goes, "That ain't nothing compared to my ground tactics." Like, what?
To this day, I still think about you when you told me about that. Just like how baffled I was. Like, where did that even come from? What entered that dude's mind?
He had been training, probably.
I guess so, man.
Sorry to interrupt the podcast, but turns out we have a sponsor. It's Winchester Beard Co. You can reach them at winchesterbeardco.com. They have all the greatest beard smelling scents. I walk around town every day and people are like, "Oh my gosh, why do you smell so good?" And I'm like, "Because I use Winchester Beard Co. on my slightest beard." It makes it a little sheeny when you have a tiny beard like I do, but I'm fine with it. Love everybody. Let's get back to the show. That was actually a lie. We're not going to get back to the show yet. I got one more sponsor. American Survival Co. American Survival Co. You can reach them at americansurvivalco.com. One of the world's largest and best survival schools. They can teach you everything you need to know. Once again, americansurvivalco.com. And the guest on the show right now, turns out he's an instructor there. Great times. Okay, get back to the show.
Yeah, he just wanted to let you know where you stood, probably.
Yeah, that's good. No, it was a fun place. Well, so let me ask you this. Back to this whole Netflix deal.
Yeah.
When you started being a survivalist, and I do throw this in, I started thinking about like your journey for this, and I also started thinking how close I was to all of I was so close to doing all this.
Yeah.
Like I remember you saying, "Hey, come to this school with me."
Right.
To learn to be a survival instructor. And I'm like, "Tate, I can't take off," whatever it was then. I was like, I can't. He's like, "Come on, man, try." And I couldn't do it. So I missed the boat there.
Well, and I guess I kind of cut the story there. Like, that's what gave me the idea I could do something I liked. The problem was what I liked was guns, knives, survival,
Ground
hunting,
tactics.
fishing, ground tactics.
Yeah.
And just being able to take care of myself, being self-reliant. So, hey, you can get paid to do that. And so I was kind of like, well, this really sucks. There's nobody going to pay me to do that. And then, I don't know, at some point I heard the phrase survival instructor or something, I guess. And so I started researching that. And at the time, there was the only place that I could find in the world that would certify you as a survival instructor was actually about an hour and a half from my house. And so it was kind of like it was a meant to be type thing. And so I basically handed in my notice, went and spent 40 days and nights living in the wilderness, and started survival school after that.
Yeah.
So,
which I mean, that seems like it worked out. I remember you saying, you got to do what you love. That's what you're telling me. And I mean, I never forgot that, because you hear people say that who mean it, who really have done, they like picked a path. And it didn't even have to be anything cool sounding like what you're doing. I mean, they could have said, I want to be a doctor their whole life, and I just picked the path and did what I loved, or whatever. Yeah. But for me, I don't have any education, which you hear me say. I didn't graduate. So I'm like doing these jobs that I work myself into some pretty good spots professionally, but I didn't like it.
Right.
Like I liked the people. I like to show up at work. Like that was fun. But the job, I hated it.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, you just got to pick what you love. But like I didn't. Well, Tate, I can't shoot. I can't play basketball for a living.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's an easy thing to say. Like it has not just been all sunshine and rainbows. Like it's not been an easy path to, walk away from a guaranteed, because all my military time, everything, it transferred over. It was a potentially really good career for the right person. That's a scary thing to walk away from, and you got no guarantees that you're going to make it. But man, I just kept thinking, like, when I'm an old man, too old to get out and do things that I like to do, just sitting on the couch, I'd rather look back and think, well, at least I tried and failed, versus, God, I wish I would have tried instead of playing it safe my whole life. And so, I was very fortunate. My wife has a great job, and so it wasn't a huge burden on us financially if I would have failed. And she was 100% supportive in, me going and exploring that as a career. So, yeah, it was a big deal.
But did you have to sell it to her at first, where you're like, look, I support your career, you'll support mine?
No, I think she just saw that I was unhappy, and she didn't want me to be unhappy, genuinely. So no, she was, but I mean, it was definitely discussions about, all right, well, let's make a plan for how this goes down, make an exit plan, and make sure that things are in place to increase the odds of success.
If that thing didn't work, if this whole thing didn't work, what were you going to be doing?
If this failed?
Yeah. Did you ever think like, maybe I'll go back and I'll do this?
No, I didn't have a backup plan. I just figured, like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a terrible approach, but there, I'm not smart enough to be the guy that came up with this, but I've heard it said lots of times, like, there is some good things about not having that backup plan, because you got nothing to fall back on, so it's all or none.
Yeah, I actually came up with that.
That
so
sounds
it's weird
like
that
something
it made
you'd
it
say.
round.
It's made its rounds, man. It's made its rounds.
I've said that one in about 07.
07. I don't think I heard it in 07. It took a while to get around the globe.
Yeah, it did.
But I appreciate that.
Yeah,
means a lot
for sure. So I mean, I know you were on other TV shows, but like this Netflix deal, that's a big deal. I mean, this thing was promoted. I saw the
first one.
Well, like even before the show came out, because I watched Netflix, because I was still watching Netflix at that point. Because you told me earlier when your show came out. Okay, let me explain to people. Right. So when Netflix shows comes out, it tabulates all the viewing hours, which is how I knew what it was. Right. You're number 10 globally with 15 million viewing hours. So you at your house quit watching Netflix
we did.
For the first 2 or 3 weeks if it wasn't your show.
Yeah, I was like, we're not watching. I really want to see Stranger Things. I want to finish up Peaky Blinders, but Nah, we're not competing against my own show.
Like I'm not giving you viewing hours.
It's not happening.
Yeah, I told you I walked in the room a couple of weeks ago when my daughter was watching a Netflix show and I ripped the TV off the wall. I was like, you will never do this again.
You wait 2-3 weeks and then you can watch it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which is good. I mean, so here's what I was saying. I saw the preview on Netflix before the show even came out. So I knew it was being promoted through Netflix because I was like, oh, look, there it is, Snowflake Mountain.
Right.
And that was pretty cool. Now, and I said this to you before, but I'm going to say it again because I deleted the first one accidentally.
It was about an hour and 30 minutes of our time last night that in about 0.25 seconds, push of a button deleted. I am not guilty of that.
And couldn't get it back. And I couldn't get it back. And I felt so stupid.
But you know what? I think it's better, though, because I haven't got to see you in a long time. So it's not that far to drive over here.
Yeah, but I did feel silly. So, but here's what I said last night. And it's true. The whole world, I mean, for the most part, people all over the world watch Netflix.
Right.
I don't know a percentage, but, you know, I mean, it's in half the world's houses, I would feel like. Might be an exaggeration, but I'm probably not far off, right?
Last I looked, I think they had 200 million plus subscribers.
Crazy, right? So, so maybe I exaggerate a little in the totals, but either way, it's just unbelievable how big it is. Well, we've been friends for a long time, and I don't look at you any. I mean, because we're buddies, right? Like I don't look at you any different. I just think like, oh, my buddy has a show on TV. Right. And I know that sounds cool to say out loud, but it's not. Our personal relationship's not any different, you know. Like it doesn't. Right. And so I just have this random thought, and so I'm like, yeah, that's cool. My buddy Matt has a show, not a big deal. And then I call you the other day, and it was. I said, what are you doing? You're like, nothing. I'm tired. You said, I think you were getting ready to take a nap. And I'm like, all right, man, well, so what are you doing? He's like, well, I got up at 3 a.m. And I was like, what did you get up at 3 a.m. for? And you're like, well, because I've been doing these shows in Great Britain and the UK. Yeah. And it never, like, that was the first time where it hit me where I'm like, I mean, yes, I knew you have a show on Netflix, but that was the first time where I'm like, oh, wow, I never even thought about people calling you for interviews and all that kind of stuff like that. That's when I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a different experience than the first show that I did for sure. Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things though. You know, I didn't really have any expectations. My only expectation, you know, was when we were there, do the best we could do and enjoy our time there and try and help those people. But things really took off really quickly once the thing aired. And so it's been weird. I mean, it's been cool. I'm grateful. I'm thankful that everybody loves the show and is connected to it, but it's just been kind of, I don't know, it's been an interesting experience.
Here's what I think is going to be weird, because Netflix is this, you know, it's a global company, and your show's a global success. But the first show that you were on, the very first one, what was it called?
It was on Discovery Channel. It was a really cool show, I'll have you know. It was called Bushcraft Build Off. It just didn't make a season 2.
But here's the part that's going to make me laugh, is if you're like at Walmart and they're going to be like, is that Matt Tate? And you're going to turn around like, yeah, like, Matt, oh my gosh, I love Bushcraft Build Off.
That never happened, by the way. Like, it's so funny because when we did that show, I was like, maybe it's not to everybody else, but I'm a huge fan of Discovery Channel. So, like, when we were going to be on Discovery Channel to do that show, I was like, oh, this is it. I've really made it. Like, and so, you know, they never advertise. They, like, do horrible. They never advertise it until, like, right before it's coming on. And then it didn't, nobody ever noticed me. Nobody ever, it was just the good Lord keeping me humble. That's
it's a thankless job. It's like, you know, I've recently been in the biz.
Oh, I want to talk about this too.
Yeah, I've recently been in the biz.
Right.
I don't look. I signed a bunch of paperwork. I don't know what I signed it for, but
a bunch of non-disclosure stuff.
I don't know. I would have remembered if it was an NDA, but I sure feel like
you probably did if you were working on like a motion picture, like a film.
I think I can say the name of it. No, I'd rather not say the name because that way I can tell you these stories. It'll just be really broad. Look, trust me, nobody's going to see the movie. Like it's not. I was an extra in this movie, and my daughters wanted to do it. As a matter of fact, here's how it went. My wife calls me and she says, "Hey, I did something." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Well, there's a movie company or production company, and they were looking for extras, and they were looking for a dad with 2 daughters." And so she's like, "So I sent your pictures in, and they accepted you." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." You know, that's like, 'cause that's all I said. Right. I was like, "That's cool." I'll tell the whole story. And so I tell the daughters, I'm like, "Hey, we're going to be in a movie, but I had some stuff to do. I don't remember what it is now because this was a little over a month ago, but like, yeah, I'll try to do it. And then we'll go be in this movie if you girls want to." And they were all fired up about it. So, right. So I'm like, okay. Oh, because I had to buy cowboy clothes. That was it.
So here's the question. Yeah. Was that like they reimbursed you for cowboy clothes, or you just had to go get them so that you could fit the bill?
Yeah. I sell out when I do movies.
Okay. I'm just checking.
I got a brown cowboy.
Because I know where this story's going. We did this last night.
I got a brown cowboy
I'm just trying to get this information to absorb myself.
I'm thinking about running outside and grabbing that brown cowboy hat for the rest of the show.
Don't forget your...
And I'm going to wave like this when the show's over, like 8 seconds. With 2 hands. So anyway, I go get the stuff. We go there.
We talking boots and everything?
Well, I had a pair of boots.
Okay.
And I don't wear boots. I bought boots. Holy man. I bought boots because a long time ago, I was working in South Texas and everybody had boots and I didn't. I still would wear smoking slippers. Right?
Trying to fit in. All right.
And so I kept telling him, my boss, he's like, "You got to get some boots." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them." But I never got them. And so I moved to Ohio. I was like doing this thing in Ohio. Well, I got promoted and I was coming back and I was going to work with my old boss. And he, the day before I got there, he said, "Hey man, you gonna wear those boots down here?" Cause I think I told him I got them. I think I'm like, "Oh yeah, I got them." Cause I didn't think he was ever going to see me. I was in Ohio. Right. But when I was coming back, he's like, "You gonna wear your boots tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yes." Cause I told him I had them. I went to Drysdale's that night and bought boots.
I only have a pair of cowboy boots because I was in my buddy's wedding and I had to have cowboy boots. But I actually don't mind them. Like sometimes they're the right footwear.
I was in your wedding. What did you make me wear?
Flip flops, man. That's what I wore.
I wasn't a flip flop wearer. Did I wear them?
Loyd was my best man, by the way. I don't know if I'm pretty sure you did. We wore like some white linen shirts, just some khakis and some flip flops. I'm pretty sure because it was a very chill wedding.
I wore flip flops.
Yeah, I think you did.
I don't know. Or was I wearing smoking slippers?
Maybe Birkenstocks, knowing you.
I don't wear Birkenstocks. You're unbelievable.
I mean, maybe my memory's failing. I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody was wearing.
Ever since you got into wilderness survival, you started wearing Birkenstocks and hemp bracelets. So,
and wool socks.
So I extended that out. I apologize because sometimes I get sidetracked. Yeah, I got boots. So I was going to do this thing. The daughters want to go. We walk in. I'm going to the BOK. It's where I'm at. Right. And it's like this rodeo store. I could ham it up because I didn't know what the movie was about, and I read it, and I just read the paragraph. It was 3 paragraphs long. It had to do with the girl, had to do with the guy, and then it had to do with tying them together. In the description, there's no way that 19 people are going to watch this movie. There's no way. It's terrible. The people's families who were in the movie will watch it.
Can you say what it's going to air on? Like what broadcaster?
Oh, yeah.
Like if it's a movie?
Coming out on Pure Flix.
Hey, I think that thing's got some following now. That's the Christian version of like a Netflix or whatever, right?
I don't know. I've never heard of Pure Flix.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Which made me know for sure. Like, what's funny though is that I don't know anything about being in movies. Just extras. We were setting up in the stands.
Like, was the thing filled, or they just had like one section, like they're gonna scan past?
I counted.
Like 30
I counted. There were 40 extras.
Okay.
So for all the cheering scenes, there were 40 extras. And I'm glad you brought that up because I wouldn't have even said it otherwise. So I can't even hear what they're saying because we're pretending like we're at the National Finals Rodeo. So we're like up in the seats. I don't even know what they're saying. And I don't even know anything about movies, but I can just see the setup. I can see how it's going. I know this thing is never going to hit the movies ever. It's never going anywhere.
Straight to DVD.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right.
I can see it coming. And then I found out what it was, and I was pretty accurate. But during the rodeo scenes, they'll be like, "All right, guys, let's cheer." But you got to pantomime cheering. If I'm going to do a movie, you should make people really cheer because you know why? You know why it would look natural? Because you would really be cheering. But when you do this I'm glad we're recording this because they're like, okay, guys, we're going to pretend like she's rounded in the third barrel and, let's cheer. And this is how you, first of all, people were doing this. Like, look at my hands. You can see it on the camera. Look at my hands. They're not even almost touching. And people can see that in the movies. So nobody's clapping. And then you got a fake yell and you're like, and every time they would say cheer, look, I've been to 1,000 games. I've played sporting events and all. You know who doesn't? Nobody cheers like this. And there's 40 extras. I'm going to guess 85% of them cheered just like this every time they'd say, all right, guys, cheer. And they would do this. Nobody two-hand cheers. Nobody two-hand cheers. No. It's anyway.
So the wave was not happening, I guess, with 40 people.
It was destined to fail. The whole deal was destined to fail. And then you get in there and you get the other people who were talking. They're like, because they're like, oh yeah, I met De Niro, super nice guy, in the extra room. Like, there are people that are
professional extras.
Yeah, that's actually a thing, by the way. Huh. I didn't know, but some of those people had been in like 15 movies as extras. But then they were all like bragging up, like, "Oh, I met Brad Pitt. He's a super nice guy." And I listened to the story because he was telling him. We're here to talk about Snowflake Mountain, by the way. Right. But so this guy said, he's like, "Yeah, I was on set with who's the girl in Dusk Till Dawn? Selma Hayek."
Oh yeah,
yeah. So he's like, Selma Hayek, super nice lady, one of the nicest people I've ever met. Listen to the story because that's what he said. And then he's like, yeah, so I was on the set with her. Don't remember the movie. He's like, yeah, and so I saw her coming. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Selma Hayek. He's like, so I held the door open for her and she passed me and she's like, and nodded like a thank you. He's like, she was like the nicest person.
For nodding.
She didn't even say anything. I'm like, you can't, and I'm sitting in the room with these people and I'm a nice guy. But I think some of these people, I think some of these people are idiots. If I'm just being honest.
You know, I wouldn't have thought, because I would think, being an extra is extra spending money, right? It's not like that's a salary thing. Like we don't have to get into the details.
Thanks for leading me, but yeah, I made $117 for 30 hours.
But how are you going to travel all over to be in these movies as an extra if it doesn't really pay much?
I met a lady there from Wichita Falls, and she was there 3 days. She has a hotel.
Wow.
You're not making anything.
Maybe it's just fun for them. I don't know. Maybe that's
so people can be like, oh, look, there I am. I got to be honest, because I don't think about that movie on a daily basis. I'm talking about it now because we're talking about it.
Right.
Matt, next year I'll probably forget that I was even in that.
You've been immortalized, though. Now you've been immortalized.
If I get that's right. If I get an IMDb account,
right?
Yes, I'm thinking about doing an IMDb.
I think you can set it up.
I think I learned this. You can do an IMDb if your name is credited, like if you're in.
Okay.
Which it's not going to be, but. But then I heard, because I'm in the room with professional extras,
right?
Like even if it's not credited, you can do an uncredited, but it'll still show. You just have to show a copy of your paycheck stub or whatever, which I already forgot. So I don't even know where it's at.
Hey man, that's a thing to some people. You know, they want to be remembered in some way. So it's not necessarily my thing, but if that's whatever, you know.
All right. Well, listen, I didn't. The whole point. I don't want to talk about me. Guys, I just did, but that's because I was acting like I was a professional actor.
No, that's good. I'm glad we talked about it because I wanted to make sure that came up.
Well, and there's one other thing that needs to happen. What's funny is that you were leading me like I'm supposed to be leading you. You've done it about 3 times already.
Hey, I have my own podcast,
but
too. So,
but let me. I'm going to get this out of the way because remember we've done this once in the last 24 hours. You have your own knife?
Oh, yeah. You led me right to it. It's kind of a big deal. Yeah. No, so it's been, 4 or 5? I think 5 years ago when I started designing this knife, right? When the design process started. And so it's with Dozier Knives, and they're world famous for making awesome blades. And they just happen to be in Northwest Arkansas. And so wound up doing a collaboration thing, and I field tested the thing for a good year. Jungle, swamp, mountains. I mean, I really put that knife through the ringer. And then the final test was taking and doing that show, Bushcraft Build-Off, because we only got to take 3 tools, and that knife was one of those tools. But the name of the knife, that's the big deal. That's where this is all headed.
Oh yeah.
That's what's important here. Is the name of the knife. So tell the part of how you remember it.
Well, because you said, and you're all excited because you always call me with your successes.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Like, I'm came to me for sure. I was super excited about
it. I'm glad that you do that. Like, honestly, but you always call me when there's like, dude, check this out. You know, because you get excited. So you're like, this Dozier knife. They came to me and they want to design it or whatever. They wanted you to field test it, but then you got to say, oh, I like this, and I wish I had this. Anyway, so you got a chance to have your own knife. Yeah. And he's like, I got to name it. So, like, what I always do, it's not just you. Anybody that has any success, I always try to include myself in it.
Let me get in some of that.
Yeah, all the time. And so you're like, hey, man, I got this knife. I'm like, do you call it the LDP? That's my name, by the way, Loyd Dale Phillips.
And I did not.
I'm like, dude, call it the Loyd knife. And I was just like, keep trying to think of the Matt and Loyd special, like everything I was trying to come up with. And that's it. Like, that was the talk at first.
Right.
And you fast forward like a month, and then you called me, just random talk. You're like, oh man, that knife, I got to name it. Like, it doesn't have a name yet.
Yeah.
And, I was sitting in the office of a guy who went to the University of Arkansas. He has Arkansas stuff everywhere. He was the track and field guy there. There was a hand-drawn picture. I mean, he has Razorback things all over the place, but there's a hand-drawn picture of a Razorback right in front of me, still in pencils, just like lead color.
Right.
And you said that, and I'm staring at that photo. Well, I know Dozier Knives is out of Northwest Arkansas. We're just to say Fayetteville because that's where the hogs are. I know that's where you live. I'm actually a Razorback fan myself. I'm sitting in the room with the Razorback fan, so I'm like, you should call that knife. And I was like, actually, I was kind of being silly. I was like, you should call that knife the Razorback. And you're like, it was like instantly you're like, I'm gonna have to call you back, and you hung up
because I had to see if I could do that.
But you got excited though, like there was no even talk about it. You said, I'm gonna call you back.
Yeah. I had to research and make sure, like, it's not like the word is not trademarked or patented or whatever. The logo is. So I was like, but a Razorback's a mean machine too. Right?
Yeah, and it sounds tough.
It does sound tough. So Loyd named that knife, and then
I'm an international knife namer.
He is. He's a big deal knife namer. If you guys have a knife that you need to name,
international knife namer.
That's the dude.
That's where you can reach me.
And then there was the spinoff. We had the smaller, kind of more utility knife. That is the Tusk.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Part of the Razorback, right?
Yeah.
Smaller, yeah. So no, that was hilarious, and he never lets me forget that ever.
I got a tattoo that says it, of the knife. You know that Brock Lesnar tattoo on his chest? That's what I got, but it's the Razorback.
Oh, you got that of the Razorback. Yeah. I love it.
Oh yeah.
We need to like make that the thumbnail for this for this video. It's like close up of that tat.
Brock Lesnar's?
No, yours.
Oh yeah,
because I know it's there.
Oh, I know it's there. It's got color, not all of it. So, yeah. Well, anyway, so let's get to this shit.
Brass tacks, baby.
All right,
tacks.
let's just get to it.
Let's get to it.
So, Netflix calls you because you already said the Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
You might have touched on it briefly, but how do they get a hold of you? Like, how does Netflix? I mean, if I'm walking down the road and I'm like, I want to do stuff with Netflix,
right?
But that wasn't even your choice, right? Like,
no, that's the thing. Like, I've had a bunch of people ask, like, how do you even land a gig like that? How do you get on the show?
How do I get on the show?
I don't know, because they reached out to us. So they sent us an email. And so let me back this up a little bit. So you have a production company who makes the show for Netflix, and they are basically partnered up, right? And so the production company reaches out to us, and at first they don't tell us it's a show for Netflix. They just kind of pitch us the idea of the show. And we actually have that happen quite a bit, and a lot of times it's just a production company trying to create something. They haven't sold it to anybody. It's just still an idea stage, right? And so after you get a bunch of those calls, you're like, well, I'll talk to everybody, because you never know. You might hit one out of the park, but most of the time it doesn't lead to anywhere. And so when we talked to them, they basically did a Zoom interview with me and Joel, who runs our school down in Florida. And they said, hey, we love you guys' energy. We'll call you guys back in a couple of days. We have to, pass it up and see what Netflix thinks about it. And so sure enough, man, 2 days later, we get a phone call, and they say, hey, you are the guys for the gig. And so if you guys are interested, let's do this.
So I got a question.
Let's hear it.
Well, because sometimes I have technical difficulties. Sometimes, and I had one again. Let me ask you this: so when Netflix calls you to go do a show in England, you and Joel, you were trying to do a rite of passage course. What?
Yeah, we'd been kind of working on a course that would be a sort of a rite of passage type thing, a week to 2 weeks long.
Did you say Rife?
I didn't. You misheard it. I said right.
Well,
it might be the DS-er, the DT-er.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's missing from a lot of societies nowadays. It was always a part of cultures throughout history. There's some kind of threshold or a challenge that they had to cross into adulthood, and from that point forward, they're considered productive members of society and considered adults. And
like the Arrow of Light ceremony for the Boy Scouts?
I wasn't in the Boy Scouts. I'm not sure.
I wasn't either, but I announced it one day.
You did?
I was the announcer for the Arrow of Light.
Is that a rite of passage type thing?
I think they said it was. But these kids are like 10 and 11, so they're like...
I don't know, but the Boy Scouts are pretty freaking cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I would have had that when I was a kid. So anyways,
not to cut you off.
Yeah.
They didn't have that.
Let me rephrase that. They didn't have that where I lived, and even if they did, we were too poor to even buy the uniforms to be part of it.
All right, I'm gonna get.
Thanks for making fun of me for being a poor kid.
I'm gonna get back to that. I'm gonna get back to that in a second, because I go ahead, rite of passage, because
yeah. So
it's important.
When they told us kind of the premise to the series, we were super stoked and instantly on board, because the way they told us how it would kind of play out was better than anything probably we could have dreamed up. And so, yeah, we were really excited, man. And we just told them, yeah, we're 100% on board. And it was a good experience.
So you're up in the mountains. So you're up in the mountains, and you're with these people, and you're out there like 19 days or whatever, actual shooting.
Right.
Here's where I was saying, so many things I've said. So you blew their bags up.
Yeah, we blew their bags up. We did.
Okay, I'm going to summarize this part. I don't think you really blew the bags up. I don't. Listen,
you probably don't believe in Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, none of that.
You can have
Where's the
Netflix's
magic
back.
in your
You
life,
can have
Lord?
Netflix's back. I don't think you blew. If that lady had $8,000 worth of Gucci suits in her luggage like she acted, I don't.
She had 18 bathing suits in there.
I don't.
That's how I knew it was real legit. That they didn't know they were going to the woods, be on the side of a mountain.
Yeah, well, you guys did take care of them because when they were in the.
Yeah, so that's a big deal, right? Everybody wants to know, oh, you blew up their bags. So how did they get like winter clothes and stuff? Because like you
She
said,
had a beanie and a puffy coat.
yeah. So here's the deal: 18, 19 days of filming, whatever it was, 35 to 45-minute long episodes. There's 8 of those. You only put so much in, and what you do put into that in the editing process really needs to be story related, right? But it did get filmed. It just didn't make the edit because I'm guessing I wasn't the editor, but it just didn't have a lot of purpose to the story itself. But so what happens is once their stuff is all gone, right? And so I tell them, hey, go over, check out your new homes. We follow them over there a little bit later, and we issue them these backpacks. So the backpacks are filled with weather appropriate clothing for them that the Netflix and production people, they'd already got all their sizes and stuff like that. So if you remember when we told them to get their essential stuff out of their bag, Joel also starts handing them boots. Mm-hmm. So they'd have appropriate footwear for what we're going to be doing. It just didn't make the cut for people to see that, but we issued them big, really nice hiking packs filled with gear for their time they were going to be there.
Did they give did they take those home with them?
Yeah.
Did you get the same backpack?
Yep.
Thing?
Yep.
Yeah. Have you used it since you got home?
Yeah, I think I've used it a couple times.
Well, I was going to say this. All right. You're on top of this mountain. Was it cold?
At some points, so the nice thing was, we're there in June, and it's not like being in Oklahoma or Arkansas in June. It was nice out, like a light mist, and wearing a light jacket, a wind jacket, to stay comfortable. So,
well, I'm not. So I knew you guys hiked that mountain, and it was like 2,500 feet.
Yeah. So let me differentiate too. Because there's been some confusion about this online. So there's Snowflake Mountain. I don't want to call that the side of the hill where their tents and base camp was set up. And then there's the mountain, right? And so I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't watched it, but that was a separate part thing.
So they called it Snowflake Mountain because it was only 2,500 feet?
No, that's not what they were calling
Colorado said, come look at me. That's nothing compared to my ground tactics.
Yeah. Hey, I want to say it was 22 miles round trip. So if it would have been 10-foot elevation, 22 miles with a pack on, it's a good little hump.
And you had to go up. You had to go uphill, up a mountain. So that. Now I didn't realize that until because it's a show, so they're not showing everything that you're going through.
Yeah.
So on the show, it looks like they walked up the mountain in 30 minutes.
Right. Yeah. So
they did on the show.
It was pretty much a day to get from camp to where base camp was going to be, and that was about halfway up.
Yeah.
Ish. I don't know. I didn't have a pedometer, but it was somewhere halfway ish, right? And so if it was 22 miles round trip, I know it's 11 miles to the peak.
Did you have your watch on?
I didn't. I don't think I did.
Will they let you wear? Could you have worn that?
Yeah. Wear whatever I want. Well, I say that that's kind of another, but like a watch, yeah. It wouldn't.
I know that you can't see an Apple logo on it, but
no, it wouldn't have been a big thing.
Yeah.
But we camp there, that night, and then we do the thing the next day. What you don't see is, let's say it was exactly halfway, so 5.5 miles, right? Plus the 11 miles that I gotta now go back. So was that 16 and a half, 17 miles ish that we did that day? It was a long hump out of there. None of that's on video. And it's rough enough terrain. You're not getting a side by side. You're not getting any type of motorized vehicle up there other than a helicopter coming to get somebody if there's an emergency. So
really?
Yeah. It's not like you're coming down the same way you went up.
You haven't been trail riding the way I have.
Well,
back when I was hitting them BDRs, that's backcountry discovery routes, by the way.
Oh,
Speaking of that, because I wanted to reference this, which I have once in the one that got deleted. On the backcountry discovery route, when I would be in Colorado, that was the BDR 2-1. I've done one.
I'll call it a beater.
I've driven all over or ridden. I've ridden all over the country on my GSA, BMW, and we got those just so we could go in the middle of nowhere. Like
Right.
you'd be 50 miles from nowhere. Well, when you're camping in the Pacific Northwest, or you're camping in Colorado, or any of that kind of terrain, there's mountain lions.
Yeah.
When you hit the valleys, there's rattlesnakes. There's bears. Depending on where you're at, there's moose who don't like you either.
Right.
Like all those things kill you.
Yeah.
And so, didn't you tell me on Snowflake Mountain?
There's none of that, man. No snakes. Really no predators. Maybe some foxes, but not anything that's going to, be a cause of concern for us.
Well, you say that, but last night you're like, there's no predators. Well, you got to worry about the goats.
No, what I did say, you're such an exaggerator. This guy likes to exaggerate.
I'll-
Here's what I did
I'll
say.
fist fight a goat.
Because he asked me, was there anything? I was like, well, there was sheep. So, like, if you had an aggressive male ram, I guess, with a sheep, a ram, then I guess you could get, like, head butted. But outside of that, there just wasn't much to worry about. And let me tell you, that was pretty nice to not worry about, having a rattlesnake in your boot when you woke up in the morning.
Yeah,
so, yeah, it's
for sure. But nobody there was scared of goats, were they?
No. But the sheep there, like, if there's public property, like those sheep are just marked, and there's no like sheep herders, like they're just out there.
Notice how I keep saying goats and you keep saying sheep.
Yeah, because there's a big difference. I'm not sure that you know about that. And maybe it's part of my mission is to educate you. There is a difference.
Well, you said rams. Wait, they got rams there?
I think a male sheep is a ram too, isn't it?
I don't know. The only ram I'm picturing is the one that has curled horns. And the first time I've laid eyes on a ram, I was in South Texas. And by the way, I didn't even know they existed there. I thought they were in like Colorado.
Like in the wild, you saw one there?
Yes, but this is what I saw.
And it wasn't just a feral goat.
The very first time I saw a ram, I saw two rams. The very first time I ever saw one in the wild. And not only did I just see, it wasn't just walking, they were out there butting heads in a field.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I'm like, I didn't even know that. I thought they lived in
Did you even like get a picture or video or anything?
not South Texas desert.
I wouldn't have guessed that either.
Because I know people don't call South Texas
just
a
some
desert.
feral goats that got loose. That's all.
People don't call South Texas a desert, but it's a desert.
Yeah.
And they were out there butting heads.
Weird. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a sheep farmer, so I don't know. I would just assume you would call them a ram, but I don't know.
You think Liam would be scared of those goats?
I'll give you some inside baseball here because this is hilarious, and I so wish that it would have made the cut. Like we weren't doing anything. Like Joel and I were probably just walking around camp and seeing the state of things or whatever. And so Liam can sound just like those sheep. And at first he's doing the bath thing at him, and we're all kind of getting a laugh at it. And then there's this one big male, like it gets his attention, and like he winds up calling that thing into camp, and it's like he kind of was like, I didn't expect this to happen, and so like to a point to where like he jumps up on the table because the ram runs over there to like where the primitive kitchen area is, but it was so funny, it was just like it was like he had a call or something. He was calling that thing. It was so hilarious, but. That I wish that would have made the cut because it was stinking funny.
So did you guys get to hang out? Did you hang out with the people?
No, not really. The only hangout time, which I wish that we could have hung out with them a lot more, and that we would have got more time to even get to know them better, to have some more mentorship time with them, and to just know more about their stories and who they were. Over time, that stuff kind of comes out in small trickles the more time you spend with them. But no, the only hangout time that I can think of with them really was at the end. We got a little bit of time with them. Outside of that, though, there's just so much going on, with production and filming and
which I know about.
You do. I mean, there's only so many cameras to catch things, and a big deal a lot of times is kind of like, a lot of people when they do a podcast are like, oh, let's not talk about anything until then, so it'll all be original, right? Like that's in terms of like reactions and just the kind of the back and forth. And so a lot of times, we really wanted to spend more time with them, but it's like, hold on to that thought and we'll get to it. And then, if the schedule will allow, we would, if it wouldn't, but no, I wish we would have though, because they all turned out to be some pretty cool people.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty, do you keep in contact with any of them?
Yeah. In fact, I got some texts today. Usually every day I'll hear from somebody. So it was kind of like,
just because I'm curious, who texted you today?
Ray.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I loved Ray.
Ray. I think maybe Carl and so we got the Instagram thing going too, right? That's a big thing. So we all are like tagging each other and trying to promote each other as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because any opportunities that can come through this for those guys, I mean, we definitely, it's a big deal. Lots of people know who they are now, and so, Carl, he's kind of got this modeling career thing. Like, if we can push stuff that he's doing, and that helps him in any way, shape, or form.
Well, does Carl know that your boy's done some of that work?
You did some modeling? Hold on, wait a minute. Now, did you do some underwear modeling?
No, but I was in Tan and Tone America calendar back there in the 90s.
Tanned and toned?
Tan and Tone. Oh, yeah.
Tan and tone.
Yeah.
That sounds fancy.
Oh, it was. It was a big deal.
That sounds very exclusive to me, too.
What's
not
funny,
just anybody gets to model for something like Tan and Tone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big deal. People are still talking about it around town and stuff. Oh,
Here's what I want to know is, do you still have a calendar?
No, I don't. But I want you to know this. I got a key to the city.
Was it shirtless?
Yeah. Yeah. I got a key to the city. I mean, I'm built a little different.
Which city?
And it's important to note because this thing's going to go on YouTube.
Yeah.
But when I accidentally ran out of memory and I did the playback on this, I didn't shave and I didn't realize how
It just looks more manly.
skanky I look. Now, I mean, like, I didn't edge it up. I haven't edged the beard up. Like, so down here, it looks like I have a neck
You
beard.
look like a mountain man. That's all.
I look like.
You look like you're ready for tan and tone, baby. I'm telling you.
Yeah, so I've done that. Anyway, I was going somewhere with this. So I'm like a local celebrity.
But it's not fair
because
because you need to give us a better visual. I want to hear what you're about to say. I'm not the host of the show, but I personally, just hearing this story, I need a little bit more visual. We're talking you were tanned and toned at the time without a shirt on.
Yeah.
We talking shorts and flip flops. What are we talking here? Chaps,
board shorts.
board shorts. Okay. All right. All right. I got the good visual. Continue. I'm ready to
Posing by
this.
tanning beds.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Okay, I got the good visual.
I'm just saying, like, because I was 18 at the time, and then some of those other guys looked like they worked out their whole life, and they were like 23 or 4, so they already. I developed into my man body sometime in those next 3-4 years, but these guys already looked like they were in magazines, and then there was me, so like it didn't.
You didn't get a call back for the next year's calendar?
No, we only did one. I don't know if any of the guys did. Anyway, so I'm local celebrity because I was in a calendar.
And which city gave you the key? That's what I need to hear.
Oh, Locust Grove.
Okay, that's a pretty
Key
good
to the
deal.
city.
Do you still have that?
No, I actually gave it to myself because I announced the Founders Day parade.
Oh, okay.
And so I awarded it to myself.
Okay.
I was pretty excited for it. Now having said all of that, because you have a Netflix show that's a global success.
It is. Yep.
Cave Springs, name a street after you?
Not yet.
No,
not yet.
Does anybody?
I don't know if I'm that big of a deal yet.
How many Cave Springs? You went to school there. How many people were?
34 graduated in my senior class. It was a big deal.
They got a
real big deal.
You think they'll name the gym after you?
I don't think so. I don't think there's probably somebody way cooler than me that's already named after. So
you think at Cave Springs?
Yeah, probably. Lots of legends come from that place, man.
Yeah,
legends.
Sounds like Locust Grove.
Yeah, I mean 8-man football. Yeah, big deal stuff.
You guys have like 12 people on the team?
Maybe 13. Yeah. It's a small school. It's a small country school, but I loved it. It was a great experience going to school there, man. It was awesome.
I think you're old enough now where the answer's probably no, but is there any teacher that's still there that was there when you were there?
I think so. Shout out to Miss Choate. She was awesome. And she was probably 23, 24, a young teacher, when I was like a junior or something like that.
Yeah, shout out to Miss Choate.
She was like one of the coolest teachers there. Yeah. But some of them are still in education. They moved on and are doing other good things. But some of them were, pretty young teachers. And so they're still doing great things and changing lives, man.
I can't believe they didn't name a street after you.
Yeah.
Have you spoke to the school yet?
No.
Don't worry. Listen, I'm gonna be a little PR guy for you. I'm gonna start calling Cave Springs and be like, hey, we got to get my boy over here to tell a story.
Right.
So, and we don't have to say his name, but if you need help with the motivational speaking part, I got a buddy that knows how to do it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You could hook me up.
100%.
Right on. Yeah. I tell you what, seriously, I would like to go back there because, it's a very poor place. Like there's a lot of great people there, but there's just not a lot of industry or anything there, and so it's very poverty stricken. So I say that to say there just wasn't a lot of hope that you were going to go on and do great things. Coming from there, at least, and not in my point of view, there wasn't. So that would be something cool to maybe go and be like, you know what, I was a dumb, poor kid, and I sat right in those bleachers ignoring the guy that was talking to me like I'm talking to you. What? Like
I was ignoring the guy talking to me just like you're ignoring me now. But listen here, kids.
But let me slap you across the face right quick, get your attention, and say like, hey, you can do anything you want to do. Well, that'd be the only cool thing.
Well, there is one thing that you could do coming from that tiny town that even if none of this worked out, if you still had whatever job you had, I know you can play the guitar better than most. So that's the thing. You could have always got on a stage somewhere in some band, that you could have done. I'm going to reference the show again because it's on when you look at the preview thing on Netflix that shows the cast.
Yeah.
Somebody had a tiny guitar. Did you play it at any point?
I did. It was Ray's ukulele. Like she brought a ukulele. She didn't know how to play the ukulele, but she thought she'd play with it and figure it out while she was there, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, of course I did, man. Stringed instrument.
Can you play it? No, I know you know how to play the guitar, but it's a ukulele. It's not like,
the chords are a little different, but I mean, it's still a stringed instrument. Same concept.
Did you solo on it?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's like a mandolin. It doesn't have a lot of ring to the strings. It dies off pretty quick. So that's why they typically will strum them pretty fast, unless they're playing an electric one that's got some reverb or something hooked into it. But no, it was kind of cool. But I tell you what, though, in the hopes that there is a season 2, and I really hope that there is, because it'd be amazing to get to go and do that again and help some more people. I did buy myself a travel guitar. Actually, my wife got me a travel guitar, and it's
are they are they tiny?
It's say half the size of a regular guitar, maybe a little bit smaller. But this one is
like your Seagull.
Did I have a travel Seagull?
Well, you had that tiny guitar. You remember
that? Yeah. Think of it like that.
Was that not a Seagull? Remember that tiny? You had a very tiny guitar.
I don't remember now.
You gotta have it still.
No, I don't know. This one's full carbon though.
Yeah.
Like carbon, 100% carbon fiber, the fretboard, the whole 9 yards. And the reason I did that is because I can go to a place like the UK where it rains all the time, and it's not the humidity is not going to impact and fluctuate the wood and the tones, and it's not going to damage it or hurt it because it's carbon fiber. So four little screws, and that comes off, folds right down on it, put it in the bag, carry it like a backpack, man. Right, it fits right in the overhead compartment.
Oh wow.
Yeah, super cool.
Well, that is cool. So, all right, man. Look, we'll we'll start to close this thing out, but you know, I know, which I didn't say, I may have at the very first. I think I did at the very first, but American Survival Co. is your company, you and Joel's company.
Yep, he and I are business partners 4 years now. We've known each other longer than that, but yeah, American Survival Co.
And so what is it? Like just
AmericanSurvivalCo.com is the website, and we teach everything from, you know, primitive wilderness survival stuff, more modern based stuff, things that someone might have in a get home bag, like how to effectively, properly use that stuff. Corporate team building stuff.
That's where I was going with that.
We partnered with Walmart's U.S. Learning Division, which was a huge deal for us last year, and we'll be doing hopefully some more things with them. An amazing team. Those people really, they know what they're doing. And so, yeah, the corporate team building stuff. And as a kind of a driver with the show, you know, more that mentorship type stuff, the mental toughness, all that type of stuff, where survival will kind of be the backdrop in those courses. And we'll do stuff like speaking engagements where we'll talk about those things, but for like a hands-on 3 or 4 day thing, mental toughness, all that type of stuff. So anything geared towards, you know, self-reliance, the mental toughness stuff, building a team, leadership development, kind of is right in our wheelhouse.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, yeah, that's all pretty awesome stuff. I know it's fun to go out there. To do, especially when somebody does something they didn't think was possible. You see the excitement on their face.
Oh yeah, like friction fire or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal, man. And that, you know, that's not something that's easy to do. People who are good at it make it look easy, but that's a challenging, you know, thing to get done. And so, yeah, that's the other thing. And it's rewarding for us too, seeing people, you know, kind of crush new goals and accomplish things like that and become more empowered.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? More confident going out hunting in the woods or on the hiking trail or whatever. There's just a pretty cool feeling knowing when those people leave, they have a lot more confidence going out into the woods.
All right. So AmericanSurvivalCo.com.
That's it.
Where do they reach you at? Like you got some Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah. So my Instagram is Matt Tate Survival. Joel's is J Gravy, I think 47. If you just search,
okay, Jay Gravy.
Yeah, if you just search Joel Graves or Matt Tate, you can find our individual accounts. And then, of course, we have an American Survival Co. in there too. So you can reach out to us there. Obviously, we have a Facebook page. Hit us up there, or you can just email us right through our website.
Yeah, that's good. Your partners. I mean, I don't know if MattTate.com exists yet, but I'd call it etattam.com. It's Matt Tate backwards. Well, anyway, look, I appreciate you being on the show. Yeah. Thanks for doing this.
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. So we're excited that you came on the show. Anyway, look, everybody, I appreciate you listening into this week's podcast. Put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame as always, and love everybody.